YouTube, Happy Dueling, and I'm bringing you just a quick, short, sweet and simple breakdown to the meta. So these are the top 3 meta decks that I believe are in the current meta right now. Now, this can all change with the flip of a ban list, but this is just quick, simple, the decks that are the most consistent, the most powerful, and can seriously have some sort of impact on the game. So the way I've kind of done this is, even though it might state as one particular deck, this can be seen as pure or with the dominance in another deck. That will become clearer as we go through it. Before we get started, there are a couple of honourable mentions to some of the decks out there. So honourable mentions that didn't make it into the top 3 in my personal opinion was stuff like Pendulum Magicians. I still think they are incredibly strong. They are unaffected by most of the Thunder Dragon's effect. They don't search as heavily as they might, as you might think they do. They also can bring out at least 2 negates on a board, maybe even 3 if it opened up the best hand they can. And then on top of that, they can put out some powerful monsters as well that can really break boards and deal with a lot. You've then got Altergeist. I think Altergeist are still very underrated in the sense that if they go off, they can be very disruptive, but the biggest downside to them is they are a trap deck. They do have to go first to kind of set up that impenetrable board, or the boards that really cause your opponent issues. With trap cards like Spoofing, which can then sort out any kind of dead hands. Cards like Seal Coitus that can bounce, Multi-Faker that can summon Seal Coitus from deck, and then of course you've got stuff like Protocol that can negate monster effects. They are incredibly powerful. On top of that, you do have other kind of decks that are floating around that I still think are very powerful. You've got Tricksters as well. They didn't make it into the top 3, and I'll explain that when we go through the top 3 choices that I have. They're still very good. I just feel in the Thunder Dragon matchup, when they're banishing off of Reincarnation, sometimes it doesn't actually help them as much. It probably unbricks a Thunder Dragon's hand, because they can then, of course, if they get banished a Roar or something like that, they can start building their boards from that. You've then got Dinosaurs as a pure kind of element, but they do feature in the top 3 in a sort of kind of way as a part engine. But Dinosaurs are still incredibly powerful, and Ultimate Conductor is still one of the most powerful individual main deck monsters around. You've then got Burning Abyss as well. So Burning Abyss are still very powerful, and when we get Cherubini, they will be made even more powerful. And if the ban list were to change anything on that ban list to kind of give them back any of their cards they've already lost, again, they will be very useful. And last but not least, we got True Dracos. The loss of Masterpiece kind of took out their the danger in their bite, basically, but they're still very powerful and very useful because they can use and abuse a multitude of floodgates. So definitely keep an eye out on them. Anyway, now that I've blabbered on for nearly 3 minutes, we are going to take you through my top 3 decks in this current meta. So at number 3, we do have Thunder Dragons. Now, Thunder Dragons are at 3 because their one card, walking, talking mistake of Colossus can really shut down your opponent and cause them a hell of a lot of issues. So continuing on with Thunder Dragons on that one, apologies. So they can shut off with their walking mistake of Colossus. Titan can be very powerful, but it can be interruptive quite easily if you make it miss its timing and stuff like that. On top of that, of course, when they're banished, they've got a lot of support cards, stuff like Gold Sarcophagus and other cards like that. And then, of course, you have the Dino variant. The Dino variant can use and abuse the Thunder Dragons quite nicely as well, and produce out very powerful boards. So whether you're playing Thunder Dragons as pure, or if you're playing them with a Dino engine, or maybe another engine of your choice, they are still very useful. And with Prank Kids coming out, they can turn into a bit more of a fun build as well, but we need to wait for Rock for that to really take a big effect. But yeah, at number 3, we do have Thunder Dragons. Then at number 2, we've got Sky Strikers. Very straightforward and explanatory on this one. They are incredibly powerful, and Engage is probably one of the most powerful spells we've ever had, in the sense that when it is done correctly, you can resolve Engage near up to 6 times a turn, if not a little bit more. So I mean, you've got the stuff like activate Engage, get a draw off of the Engage, bring it back with Kagari, activate Engage, get a draw, search out another one as well. Then if you've got 2 more engages in hand, you play another engage and another engage. That's pretty much 4. And not to mention, if you then get to set it off of multi-roll, you can use and abuse the amount of engages, let alone Widow Anchor as well, as many times as possible. Multi-roll is also a very, very powerful card, and they can kind of deal with quite a lot. Even when they put the Sky Strike, even if you put a Kaiju or a monster in their main monster zone, of course, you can then activate some form of card, their field spell, to kind of deal with that monster, and then they might get a plus off of that as well. The only thing they lack is they do lack the punch to kind of kill a game off. They can't really OTK a game unless you've set up a really powerful board and they just go Widow Anchor, Widow Anchor, Widow Anchor, take all your monsters plus their monster, engage, Boral Sword, stuff like that. So Engage, or Sky Strikers in general, are still a very, very powerful deck. We do have one more bit of support as far as I'm aware, coming out in Savage Strike, in another extra deck monster. And then I believe there's the possibility of getting her, like a spell card. So obviously we got, I think it was Veticular Roll, off of Hayate. So there's still a lot more to go around with it. And Ray's kind of float and tribute effect is still very, very powerful, and which means that deck is still up there. I think people have started to adapt a little bit more to how to deal with Engage and how to deal with Sky Strikers in general. And of course, Thunder Dragons can really, really slow the deck down, which is why they're at 2. And then at number 1, no surprise here whatsoever, is Danger Dark World FTK. Any way you want to play it. The Danger deck itself is being used and abused in all decks. It's being used and abused in Burning Abyss. It's being used and abused in a Warrior deck where you can go basically just flood out Rabromniad with like 8 materials, something crazy like that. And it becomes more of a FTK in the sense that it can stall your opponent out. But then of course, we do have one of the most consistent FTKs around in the game to date, with the use and abuse of Cannon Soldier and of course Firewall. Now you may think that it's not the Dangers that are really using and abusing this deck, and it is probably more Firewall FTK. But of course the Danger's ability to summon, draw, discard, summon or search or pop or do whatever is incredibly powerful. And the only real times that the Danger FTK kind of loses is if they don't get the required pieces into the grave, if they get drawn on Locked Bird, or Hanawata should you play that. So the fact that it is so consistent, it has yet to kind of grab the meta by the horns and dominate. I mean, at YCS London we did see some very, very disgusting plays with the Danger FTK, but then of course they started to filter off because it is, in a sense, a one route. If they do get stopped of doing their FTK, they can U-link you, but it's not as impressive as, of course, the FTK itself. The biggest issue is they can also play through hand traps if they make Azathoth, which they can do quite consistently if their hands are very, very good. And of course they got the Soul Charge. The one biggest weakness to them is they do rely on luck. If you were to hit the right Dangers, they can still power through. But if you hit the right cards or the correct kind of calls in their hands when they're discarding or using the Danger effects, they can stall out. And they still do play some sort of bricks in the deck as well, in the sense that if they can't get Cannon Soldier or Toon Cannon Soldier to the graveyard, as well as a Grapher, and have a Dark World monster in play, they can really, really struggle. But the fact that they do have ways around Firewall, and of course they do have ways around being cherried as well, kind of gives them a bit more versatility. I can't see this deck lasting much longer. I don't believe that FTKs are healthy for the game. I don't see them hitting any of the Dangers, and I hope they don't hit any of the Dangers because we do have at least one more set of support. But then, of course, I can see them easily hitting Armageddon Knight. I can see them hitting Malicious. I can see them hitting Toon Cannon Soldier, and the other, there's a Dark Spellcaster that tributes Dark Monsters to burn cards as well, so that could also be used and abused as well. Anyway, so that is our top three of the best meta decks right now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. Also, YouTube, thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. We've got more deck profiles, duels, pack openings, and many more Yu-Gi-Oh videos coming up for you all year round. So don't forget to stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, and as always, guys, happy dueling.